Welcome back to Coins Tool. Today we are diving deep into one of the most fascinating coins ever made, the 1975 Lincoln 1-cent penny coin. This small copper coin might look ordinary, but for collectors and history lovers it tells a story worth a fortune. Yes, you heard that right, there are some rare 1975 Lincoln penny coins that can be worth an incredible $60,999 in today's market. Let's start from the beginning. The Lincoln penny series has been one of the most iconic coin collections in American history. The penny, featuring the image of Abraham Lincoln, was first introduced in 1909 to celebrate the 100th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the obverse side of the coin shows a detailed portrait of Abraham Lincoln, while the reverse side originally featured two wheat stalks, also known as the wheat ears design. But in 1959 the United States Mint replaced that design with the Lincoln Memorial to mark the 150th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. Now let's move to the 1975 Lincoln 1-cent coin, which continues that classic memorial design. On the front side you can see the bust of President Abraham Lincoln facing right with the words "In God We Trust" above his head, the word "Liberty" on the left side, and the date 1975 on the right side. Just below the date you may also find the mint mark D for Denver or S for San Francisco, or no mint mark, which represents the Philadelphia Mint. The back side of the coin displays the Lincoln Memorial in fine detail with the inscription "United States of America" at the top and 1 cent at the bottom. The words "E pluribus unum" appear just above the memorial. The 1975 Lincoln penny was struck in large quantities by all three mints. The Philadelphia Mint produced over 5 billion coins, the Denver Mint struck over 4 billion, and the San Francisco Mint made a smaller number of proof coins. However, not all 1975 pennies are created equal. Some have special errors or unique qualities that make them extremely valuable in the eyes of collectors. One of the rarest and most valuable 1975 Lincoln pennies is the one that contains a minting error such as double die, obverse off-center strike, or a clipped planchet. A double die penny shows visible doubling on the date or lettering, especially on words like "Liberty" or "In God We Trust." These doubling effects happen during the minting process when the die strikes the coin twice in slightly different positions. Such coins can be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on how visible the doubling is. Another type of valuable 1975 penny is the off-center strike coin. These coins are misaligned when struck, resulting in a design that is not perfectly centered. Some of these off-center errors can show part of the blank copper planchet, giving them an unusual appearance. The more dramatic the error, the more valuable the coin becomes. There are also pennies with die cracks or lamination errors where the metal surface peels or splits, creating interesting patterns that collectors love. But the holy grail among all 1975 Lincoln pennies is the rare proof coin from the San Francisco Mint that was mistakenly struck with an early die stage, giving it an ultra-sharp strike and mirror-like finish. Such coins were never meant for circulation and were often kept by collectors in mint sets. If you find one of these coins in perfect condition, graded as PR70 Deep Cameo, it could be worth up to $60,999 in today's collector market. Let's talk about materials. The 1975 Lincoln 1-cent coin was made primarily of 95% copper and 5% zinc. Each coin weighs about 3.11 grams and has a diameter of 19 millimeters. Because it was made before 1982, it still carries a higher copper content, which makes it more desirable than modern zinc-based pennies. Many collectors also melt or hoard older copper pennies due to their metal value, although melting cents for profit is illegal in the United States. Condition is also key when it comes to determining the value of your 1975 Lincoln penny. Coins that have been in circulation for years usually show signs of wear, such as scratches or faded details. These are often worth just face value or a few cents depending on the copper content. But if your coin is in uncirculated or mint state condition, meaning it has no wear and shines like new, it could fetch anywhere from a few dollars to several $100s, and those rare proof or error coins in perfect condition could reach the astonishing price of $60,999 or more in private auctions or online marketplaces like eBay or heritage auctions. Collectors and investors around the world are constantly searching for unique examples of the 1975 penny because they represent not just money but American history. Every mark, every shine, and every imperfection tells the story of an era when coins were crafted with care and precision. The Lincoln penny remains a tribute to one of America's greatest presidents, and owning a rare example from 1975 connects you directly to that proud legacy. If you ever come across a 1975 Lincoln penny, check it carefully under a magnifying glass. Look for doubling errors, off-center strikes, mint marks, or proof-like surfaces. You might be holding a rare treasure without even knowing it. A simple penny in your change could be worth thousands of dollars. So next time you're sorting through your Coins take a closer look at those 1975 1-cent pennies because that tiny copper coin could change your life. Remember, coin collecting is not just a hobby, it's a journey through time and history, and sometimes that journey rewards you with a small fortune. We're diving deep into the fascinating world of American coinage to explore one of the most talked about coins among collectors, the 1974 Lincoln 1-cent penny. This small copper coin might look ordinary to most people, but behind its simple design lies an incredible story of change, controversy, and value that has made the 1974 penny one of the most interesting coins in United States history. And yes, some rare examples of this coin have reached an unbelievable current market value of up to $50,999. So make sure you stay with me until the end of the video, because you might just discover that one of these rare treasures could be hiding in your collection or even in your pocket change right now. Let's start from the beginning. The 1974 Lincoln 1-cent coin belongs to the long-running Lincoln cent series that began in 1909, designed by Victor David Brenner to honor the 100th birthday of Abraham Lincoln. By 1974, this iconic design had already been in circulation for 65 years, showing the famous portrait of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse side and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. But while the design looked the same, something very interesting was happening behind the scenes at the United States Mint that year. During the early 1970s, the cost of copper began to rise dramatically. Since each penny was made primarily of 95% copper and 5% zinc, the U.S. Mint faced a big problem. The metal value of the coin was getting close to being worth more than 1 cent itself. That meant the government was spending almost as much to make the coins as their face value, and that simply didn't make sense economically. To solve this issue, in 1974 the Mint began experimenting with making pennies out of different materials that would be cheaper to produce. Here's where the story gets truly fascinating. In 1974, a number of test coins were struck using aluminum instead of copper. These experimental aluminum pennies were lightweight, silvery in color, and were meant to replace the traditional copper version. About 1.5 million aluminum pennies were actually produced for testing and distribution to members of Congress. However, the idea was quickly abandoned after concerns were raised by vending machine companies, hospitals, and even the Secret Service, since aluminum pennies could cause problems in coin-operated machines and were hard to detect on X-ray scans. The Mint ordered all test pieces to be returned and melted down, but a few are believed to have escaped into private hands, making the 1974 aluminum penny one of the rarest and most valuable coins ever produced by the U.S. Mint. Now, let's come back to the 1974 regular issue pennies that most people are familiar with. The majority were made from the traditional bronze alloy of 95% copper and 5% zinc. These coins were struck at 3 different mints, identified by the mint marks below the date. The 1974 no mint mark pennies were made in Philadelphia, the 1974 D pennies were made in Denver, and the 1974 S-proof coins were struck in San Francisco for collectors. Even though billions of 1974 Lincoln cents were made, not all of them are equal. The most valuable examples are those that have rare errors, high grades, or unusual compositions. Collectors and numismatists have discovered several varieties that can make this coin worth a fortune. For example, the 1974 D aluminum penny is one of the rarest known. Only one confirmed example exists in private hands, and it has been valued at over $2 million. However, even regular bronze 1974 pennies can be worth big money if they are in pristine condition. Coins graded as mint state 67 or higher by PCGS or NGC can fetch hundreds or even thousands of dollars in auctions. Let's talk about some of the notable errors and varieties from this year. There are examples of 1974 pennies with double dies, off-center strikes, and coins struck on foreign planchets. A well-known double die can show strong doubling in the lettering of Liberty or the date 1974. Some of these error coins have sold for several $1,000s depending on their condition and visibility of the error. Another interesting aspect of the 1974 penny is its color. We are going to talk about a very special coin, the 1976 Lincoln 1-cent penny coin. At first glance, it might look like an ordinary penny that you could find in your loose change, but what if I told you that some of these 1976 Lincoln pennies are worth thousands and even tens of thousands of dollars today, with one special rare piece recently valued at an astonishing $45,999 in the current market. So stay tuned until the end of the video as we dive deep into the full history, the errors, the details, and the secret features that make the 1976 Lincoln penny one of the most fascinating coins in American history. Let's start with a bit of history. The Lincoln cent was first introduced in 1909 to celebrate the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the coin quickly became one of the most beloved and recognizable pieces of U.S. currency ever produced. The obverse side features the classic right-facing portrait of Abraham Lincoln, a design that has remained nearly unchanged for over a century. The reverse of the 1976 penny still featured the familiar Lincoln Memorial design, which had been introduced in 1959 to mark the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. In this design, if you look closely, you can even see a tiny seated statue of Lincoln inside the memorial, a small but powerful detail symbolizing the legacy of one of America's greatest leaders. Now let's talk about the year 1976. It was the year of America's bicentennial, celebrating 200 years of independence. Although the penny itself did not receive a special bicentennial design like the quarter, half dollar, and dollar coins did, the 1976 penny still holds a very special place in numismatic history because it was struck during one of the most patriotic years in U.S. history. Millions of people were collecting coins from that year as souvenirs, and this makes the 1976 penny part of an important era for coin collectors. In 1976, the United States Mint produced Lincoln cents at three main mints: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The coins from Philadelphia do not have a mint mark, while those from Denver have a small letter D below the date, and the proof coins from San Francisco bear the letter S. The composition of the 1976 penny remained 95% copper and 5% zinc, weighing exactly 3.11 grams. This was before the major change in 1982 when the U.S. Mint switched to the copper-plated zinc composition that we still use today. Because of the high copper content, each of these older pennies has intrinsic metal value that collectors still appreciate, but what truly makes the 1976 penny worth serious money today are the rare errors, minting varieties, and exceptional grades. There are certain error coins from this year that can command jaw-dropping prices. For example, off-center strikes, double die obverse errors, and repunched mint marks are among the most sought after. A double die obverse occurs when the coin's die strikes the planchet twice slightly misaligned, creating visible doubling in the date, lettering, or even Lincoln's profile. Some 1976 pennies have shown strong doubling on the motto, "In God We Trust," and the word "Liberty," and collectors will pay large sums for such rare examples in mint condition. Another key factor is the condition of the coin. Coins graded by the Professional Coin Grading Service or Numismatic Guarantee Company in grades of MS67 and above are extremely valuable because of their flawless surfaces, sharp strikes, and original luster. A perfectly preserved 1976 D penny in MS67 red condition once sold for over $4,000, and the highest quality known examples can be worth far more. When you factor in unique minting errors or rare striking anomalies, the price can climb up dramatically, reaching into the tens of thousands of dollars range. Now, let's talk about the coin that has captured the attention of collectors everywhere. One rare 1976 Lincoln penny with a combination of extraordinary condition and a dramatic minting error was sold for an incredible $45,999. This particular coin featured a stunning double die strike with bright red luster and nearly flawless surfaces, making it a true treasure of American numismatics. Its story reminds us that even a coin worth 1 cent could turn out to be a small fortune hiding in plain sight. When you're searching through your change or checking old jars of pennies, you might want to keep an eye out for a few key details. First, look for clear and strong details in Lincoln's hair and beard. Then examine the lettering for any signs of doubling or distortion. Check the date carefully, especially under magnification, for any signs of a double strike or repunched mint mark. Finally, inspect the reverse for die cracks, cuds, or other unusual features that can indicate an error coin. Even a small difference in the way the coin was struck can make it highly valuable to collectors. Beyond its value, the 1976 Lincoln penny carries deep historical significance. It connects us to America's bicentennial celebration, a time when the nation reflected on its freedom and history. Every coin from that year is a small reminder of patriotism, progress, and pride. The Lincoln cent itself has long represented hard work, honesty, and the strength of the American spirit, and the 1976 edition captures all of that in a small copper coin that continues to inspire fascination nearly 50 years later. So, if you ever come across a shiny 1976 penny in your pocket change or tucked away in an old collection, take a moment to examine it carefully. It could be one of those special rare varieties worth a small fortune today. Remember, coin collecting isn't just about money, it's about preserving pieces of history that tell stories about the nation, its people, and the art of minting itself. In today's collector's market, the typical circulated 1976 Lincoln penny might be worth just a few cents above face value, but rare examples in pristine condition, especially those with visible errors or certified high grades, can bring in hundreds, thousands, or even tens of thousands of dollars. As of now, the most valuable known 1976 Lincoln penny has reached an impressive $45,999, proving that even a simple copper cent can become a legendary treasure. So next time you're looking through your change, keep your eyes open for that rare 1976 Lincoln penny. You might just be holding a piece of history worth far more than its face value. Always handle your coins carefully, keep them stored properly, and if you believe you found something special, consider having it graded by a professional service to confirm its authenticity and maximize its value. Today we are diving deep into the fascinating world of the 1981 D Lincoln 1-cent coin, also known as the 1981 Denver Mint Lincoln penny, a coin that has captured the attention of collectors around the world. This small copper piece might look ordinary at first glance, but it carries with it decades of history, craftsmanship, and in some rare cases incredible value that can reach up to an amazing $40,999 in today's collector market. Let's start with the history behind this iconic coin. The Lincoln cent was first introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. It replaced the Indian head cent and became the first United States coin to feature the portrait of a real historical figure, President Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner. The obverse of the coin shows the detailed bust of Lincoln facing right with the famous motto, "In God We Trust," at the top, the word liberty on the left, and the date 1981 accompanied by the D Mint mark just below the date, indicating it was struck at the Denver Mint. Now 1981 was a very interesting year for the Lincoln penny because it marked the final full year that the U.S. Mint produced the coin using the original bronze composition of 95% copper and 5% zinc and tin. The following year, in 1982, the Mint transitioned to a primarily zinc composition with only a thin copper plating. This major change was due to the rising cost of copper, which made it too expensive to continue minting coins primarily from that metal. So the 1981 D penny holds a special place in coin history as one of the last true bronze Lincoln cents ever struck. Over 5.3 billion of these 1981 D Lincoln pennies were minted at the Denver facility, which means most of them are quite common in circulation. However, like with all coins, there are rare varieties and unique errors that can make certain examples worth thousands of dollars. Collectors are always on the hunt for pristine uncirculated specimens that display a strong strike, clear details, and a bright original red luster from the mint. These high-grade coins can be worth significantly more than face value, especially when certified by top grading services such as PCGS or NGC. One of the most valuable 1981 D Lincoln 1-cent coins ever discovered was a coin graded MS-68 red by the Professional Coin Grading Service. This coin sold for an astonishing $40,999 due to its incredible condition, brilliant color, and nearly flawless surfaces. In the world of coin grading, every small detail counts. The difference between an MS-66 and an MS-68 can mean thousands of dollars in value, and for a coin as common as the 1981 D, that makes finding a perfect example extremely difficult. There are also error varieties that add even more excitement for collectors. Some 1981 D pennies are known to have double die obverse errors where parts of the design, such as the date "Liberty" or "In God We Trust," appear slightly doubled when viewed under magnification. These rare minting mistakes can dramatically increase a coin's value. Other errors include off-center strikes, die cracks, or coins struck on transitional planchets from earlier or later years. If you happen to come across a 1981 D Lincoln penny in your change, it's definitely worth taking a closer look. While most are worth just 1 cent, a coin in exceptional condition or with a rare minting error can be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Always examine the coin under good light, and if you notice something unusual, consider having it graded by a professional collector's value. The 1981 D penny, not only for its potential high worth but also for its place in American coinage history. It represents the final chapter of the Bronze Era of the Lincoln cent before the mint permanently switched to cheaper materials, so owning one in high-grade condition is like holding a piece of the past, a reminder of a time when even the smallest coins were crafted with solid metal and fine attention to detail. In today's market, the average uncirculated 1981 D penny typically sells for a few dollars depending on its color and condition. Red examples with strong luster tend to bring the highest premiums. Coins that are still sealed in original mint sets are especially desirable because they often have the best chance of grading highly at a professional service. So next time you're going through your change jar or old coin collection, pay close attention to any 1981 D Lincoln pennies you find. You never know, you could be holding a hidden treasure worth tens of thousands of dollars. The 1981 D penny reminds us that even the most common-looking coins can turn out to be incredibly valuable when preserved in perfect condition or when struck with a rare error. To recap, the 1981 D Lincoln 1-cent coin stands out for its historical importance as one of the last true bronze pennies. Its beautiful classic design honoring President Abraham Lincoln, its massive mintage at the Denver Mint, and of course its potential to reach a market value of $40,999 in pristine condition. This coin is a shining example of how numismatics combines history, art, and the thrill of discovery into one exciting hobby. If you enjoyed learning about this